Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you the first spoiler article for the Battle for Attoracia, Alice Cluster Set 4. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of light cards, including the new light ruler. But this is a very different ruler, so I think this is pretty interesting. Even just the artwork looks kind of interesting. So the ruler is the Memoria of the Seven Lands. So it says a Memoria that projects the image of the great people from Attoracia. So just keep that in mind that this is like pretty interesting because it's all 5 attributes, and so I don't know necessarily if we're going to see multiple versions of this card for this set. That would be kind of interesting. You can kind of trick your opponent, but it has no real abilities on its side except it has Judgment of 4, and then it flips over, this one anyway, flips over into Faria, the Chosen Girl. So this card gains Faria, the ruler of Godsword, in addition to its other names. So she's a 1000 heroic spirit, so the Memoria calls forth Faria, the memory of Faria. When this card enters your field, if you control a call to actions Memoria, destroy up to 1 target resonator, and if you control 4 call to actions Memoria, destroy all resonators your opponent controls instead. So when she flips, she nukes the board one-sided. That's really cool. And then she says whenever you gain life, you put a 100/100 counter on every J/resonator you control. Wow, that is crazy. Keep in mind though that when she gains Faria, the ruler of Godsword, that means that Excalibur, the original Excalibur, is going to give her imperishable just by tapping for it. She doesn't have a God's Art, but at the same time you get that buff and free imperishable, which is really cool. Especially being able to do a field nuke essentially multiple times if you have those Memoria. Her Memoria, by the way, is the Call to Actions Memoria. So if you notice, they have this kind of interesting font with little stars and stuff everywhere. I think that's kind of a cool little touch. Thankfully, it's easy enough to read. A little bit interesting of a choice. So Special Magic Stone taps to produce light, and then for 1 light, 1 colorless, and tap, you can gain 100 life. The 100 life effect's not great, but then you gotta remember that gaining 100 life, ta-da, gets everything a +1/+1. So if you're in a position where you kind of just have stuff to spend at the end of your turn, this is a good way to buff it up. You know, if your opponent doesn't do anything you have to react to, spend your extra will, pump all your guys up a little bit. Really nice. Then we have the Last People of Gloria. It's a 4-drop 1/0/1000. Whenever this card enters your field or leaves your field for a non-field zone, you gain 700 life. So whenever it comes into play, you gain 700. Whenever it blocks and dies, you gain another 700. So this is really, really nice. It allows you to, it is expensive. It is a 4-drop. I imagine we're going to see some things that will probably reduce its cost. But just the fact that it gains you essentially 1400 life for every time you play it is really, really nice. Life Profiteering Priest, 1-drop 2/4, and then whenever another resonator enters your field, you gain 200 life. So with this, if this is already out, you have some Profiteers on the play already, you can get some pretty crazy buffs to things, especially being a 1-drop. I mean, being able to be a 3/5, 5, 4, 5, 6, you know, just the longer it stays alive, the more it gets powerful. And then we have the Sacred Knight of the North, 2-drop Knight. When a J ruler enters your field, you gain 500 life, and whenever you gain life, this card gains 200 attack until the end of the turn, and it's a 5/6, so not too bad for a 2-drop. And then the opposite side is Sacred Knight of the South. Whenever this J ruler enters your field, you gain 500 life, and whenever you gain life, this card gains 200 defense until the end of the turn. So 6/5. So a 5/6 that gets attack bonus and a 6/5 that gets a defense bonus whenever you gain life. That's pretty cool. I like the fact that light is making use of that light beam mechanic a little bit more. I'm excited to see what else comes out for this set. Then we have the newest kind of card. So it's actually, so there's these 2 cards, we've seen them before, and they look like they're kind of part of the same artwork. Well, that's because they are. So hold on, let me reopen this real quick. So the way this works is, this is the new ability called Shift. It's a new mechanic. So these cards are actually going to be 2-sided. So that's something to note. So you're going to want to play with sleeves if you're going to play in a tournament. So it has the shift of blue and 2, and it just says how it works. It says you may play either side of this card, and the cost is pay 2 pay a blue, pay 2, and you can flip this card. You can play shift anytime you play a spell chant. So if you play a spell chant card, you can then follow it up by paying blue and 2 colorless to flip this guy over to the other side. And his natural ability is prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card during your turn. So this is pretty cool. So Lars, cool thing is, Lars is Faria's, in the storyline, Lars is Faria's brother who left, and so now he's come back. So that's pretty cool storyline-wise, cool to see him. And then the flip side of it is Glorian Princess of Water, Charlotte, and this is Faria's little sister who is in a coma. So she's a 3-drop, Resonator Shift Wizard. This card enters your field with 5 100/100 counters on it. So she's a 5/5 for 3. But as this card shifts, you put 10 100/100 counters on it, and you can remove 4 of them to draw a card. So essentially what this means is you can play her for 3 as a 5/5, and you can still draw a card. Or you can shift her from being, after you've put Lars into play, and she gets 10 counters instead. So she is a 10/10 for 3. So that's pretty cool. It's a cool mechanic. I look forward to seeing kind of what the other things that shift is possible, but these kind of dual-sided cards outside of just the rulers, I'm very excited to see how that mechanic works. So overall, pretty cool stuff to see today. Can't wait to see more. Let me know what you guys think, what kind of decks you think these decks, cards that you're interested in, cards that you're not interested in, decks that you're immediately thinking about playing, and we'll come back a little bit later for more spoiler articles later this week. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.